Welcome back. Today, we're attempting something maybe a little bit dangerous.
Dangerous. Wow. That's a strong way to open.
Well, I think it's accurate. We're taking a book that has been, misused,
Yeah.
completely misinterpreted, and frankly, just memeified for over a century.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and treat it like a technical manual. We're talking about Wallace D. Wattles and his 1910 classic, The Science of Getting Rich.
It is a beast of a topic.
Yeah.
And you're right about the danger. I mean, this book is really the grandfather of the entire self-help industry.
Absolutely.
The secret, Think and Grow Rich, they all trace their lineage straight back to Wattles. And because of that, it's covered in a lot of, well, dust. A lot of people, they hear the title and they just immediately think it's about, I don't know, wishing for a Ferrari and then waiting for it to drop out of the sky.
Exactly, the manifestation trap.
Yeah.
But we've pulled together a stack of sources that I think suggest something very, very different. We've got the original text, obviously, but we've also brought in research from modern behavioral psychology, specifically on habit formation and what's called cognitive load. And we've layered in some Stoic philosophy from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus.
Which, on the surface, seems like a really odd mix. Stoicism, which is usually about, enduring hardship, and then Wattles, who's all about acquiring wealth.
It does seem contradictory, right?
Oh,
But that's kind of our mission today. We want to see if we can strip away all the mysticism and actually find the mechanics, because the biggest issue with this stuff isn't the philosophy, it's the application. It's what I call the Sunday night high versus the Monday morning slump.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. You read the book on Sunday, you feel like a titan of industry, you've got the vision, you're, vibrating at a high frequency.
And then Monday hits. The alarm goes off at 6 in the morning. You spill coffee on your shirt. The inbox is already overflowing with urgent, but let's be honest, unimportant emails. Your boss is in a mood. And by 10 a.m., that high frequency is just, it's gone. You aren't thinking in a certain way, as Wattles puts it. You're just trying to survive until lunch.
Yeah, and that phenomenon, it actually has a name in psychology. It's called cognitive drift.
Cognitive drift. It sounds like, I don't know, a weather pattern.
It's actually, it's closer to entropy. It's the natural tendency of the human mind to just float along the path of least resistance.
Right.
Maintaining a specific mental state, like the one Wattles is prescribing, it requires a huge amount of energy.
Right, yeah.
It requires your executive function, which is a finite resource in your prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
But your brain, it's an energy miser. It wants to conserve calories. So the moment that stress hits, the spilled coffee, the angry boss, your brain just abandons the high-level strategy and reverts to its default neural pathways.
So old habits, old fears.
Reactive thinking, exactly.
So when we fail to apply these books, it's not necessarily a moral failure on our part. It's a biological efficiency mechanism.
Precisely. We drift because it's just easier than steering. Wattles talks about moving in a certain way, and in his text, that phrase certain way, it's capitalized. It's like a proper noun.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That implies a rigorous, conscious system. But without some kind of dam to hold back that drift, the entropy of daily life just washes the whole system away.
And that's our goal for our exploration today. We aren't just summarizing a book. We're trying to build that dam. We want to engineer a mental loop that can actually survive Monday morning.
There's a metaphor I found in our notes, actually from a commentary on Aristotle, that I think frames this perfectly. It compares two ways of moving through the world: the dandelion fluff and the border collie.
Okay, I have a visual for both of those, but walk me through the comparison.
Well, think about a dandelion seed. It floats, it's light, it's airy, it's beautiful, but it has zero internal propulsion.
None.
If the wind blows east, it goes east. If a gust blows west, it goes west. It is completely reactive to its environment.
That sounds like most people, right? Oh, the economy is bad, so I guess I can't succeed. Or my industry is shrinking, so I guess I'm out of luck.
That is dandelion thinking. You're letting external circumstances dictate your trajectory. Now contrast that with a border collie. I mean, if you've ever seen a working dog herding sheep, the difference is just, it's visceral.
Oh yeah, they're so intense.
They're intense. They have a specific target. The sheep, they're constantly adjusting their speed, their angle, their position. They're reacting to the sheep, yes, but every single movement is calculated to drive the outcome in a specific direction. They aren't floating. They're driving.
They have an internal motor. They're not just reacting, they're enacting a plan.
And Wattles is essentially teaching us how to stop being fluff and start being the dog. He's arguing that you can impose your will on the formless substance of reality rather than just being tossed around by it. But to do that, you need a system.
I love that image. We want the focused intensity of the working dog. So to get us from fluff to collie, we've broken this down into 3 specific chunks. What's the roadmap for us today?
Okay, first we're going to look at the map. This is the fundamental mindset shift. If you get this wrong, nothing else works. This is the big distinction between what he calls the competitive plane and the creative plane.
And then?
Then we have the fuel. This is where we talk about gratitude and vision. And I want to be really clear here. We are going to strip the woo-woo out of this. We're looking at the mechanics of how gratitude actually functions as a cognitive anchor to keep you from drifting.
Good. And finally?
And finally, the engine, efficient action. This is the part that almost everyone misses. They do the visualizing, they do the affirmations, but they completely fail in the execution. We need to define exactly what Wattles means by efficient action and why doing today's work today is really the secret sauce.
Let's jump right in then, the summary chapter. Wattles actually summarizes his entire philosophy in a syllogism, a logical argument, in chapter 17. And it sounds, well, to a modern ear, it sounds a little bit like magic.
It really does. Let me just read the core premise he lays out. He says, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imagined by the thought.
Right. And there it is. I think of a sandwich and poof, a sandwich appears. That's the law of attraction interpretation that got so popular, and it's what makes people roll their eyes.
And that is the dangerous interpretation. It leads to passivity. It leads to people sitting on their couches, visualizing checks in the mail and, getting evicted. But Wattles clarifies immediately after that. He says, and this is key, by thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it.
That distinction is everything. Thought brings it, action receives it. It's a 2-part mechanism, not one.
Think of it like architecture. You can't build a house without a blueprint. The blueprint is the thought. It organizes the materials, it directs the labor, it defines the final outcome. If you have a chaotic blueprint or no blueprint at all, you just get a pile of rubble. The thinking substance, reality, it's responsive to the design you impose on it. But, and here's the absolute kicker, you still have to lay the bricks.
So the thought part is the design phase. You are the architect of your life. But the action part, that's the construction crew.
Exactly. And most people fail because they completely separate these two functions. They treat them as if they're mutually exclusive.
So who are the people who separate them? Because I feel like I see this all the time.
Well, on one side, you have the dreamers. These are the people with elaborate vision boards, affirmations, tons of great ideas. They're excellent architects. They have a beautiful blueprint.
But they never pick up a trowel.
They never lay a single brick. They're all thought, no reception. They're just waiting for the house to build itself. They're the ones who say, oh, I have this great app idea for 10 years, but they never write a single line of code.
And on the other side?
On the other side, you have the grinders, the hustlers, the whole sleep when I'm dead crowd. They're out there laying bricks, frantically sweating, working 18-hour days. But they have no blueprint. They're building a wall to nowhere. They're all action, but no thought.
That's such a helpful framework. It explains why some of the hardest working people we know are completely stuck and why some of the most visionary people are broke. Wattles is asking us to be a synthesis of the two, the architect and the mason.
Yes. You need the clear image, the thought, held firmly in your mind while you perform the work, the action, with total efficiency. You can't be one or the other.
This leads us directly to the environment we're operating in. This was my favorite part of the reading, but also the part I struggled with the most. This distinction between the creative plane and the competitive plane.
It's the hardest hurdle for the modern mind to get over. I mean, we are raised in a competitive system. From the time you're 5 years old, you're ranked. School is competitive, graded on a curve. Sports are competitive. College admissions, the job market. It all feels competitive.
It feels like a zero-sum game. If I get the promotion, you don't. If I get the client, you lose the client. The pie is fixed. If I eat a slice, that's one less slice for you.
Zero-sum is the exact definition of the competitive plane. It's the belief that supply is limited. And Wattles says this is a fatal error. He uses some really harsh language here. He talks about the lust for dominion and the desire to be called master.
He references the Pharisees, right? That idea of wanting the high seat at the table so that others have to look up to you.
Yes. He says that when you compete, you're operating from a place of scarcity. You're telling your subconscious and reality itself that there isn't enough. And when you believe there isn't enough, how do you behave?
You panic, you hoard, you hurry, you try to undercut the other guy.
Exactly. Hurry is the primary symptom of being on the competitive plane. Wattles says, and this is a great line, there is never any hurry on the creative plane.
But hold on a second, I have to play devil's advocate here.
Right.
Because in the real world, speed matters. If I'm launching a product and my competitor launches first, they get the market share. If I don't hurry, I'm gonna die. Isn't Wattles being a little bit naive here? If I'm all calm and creative, won't I just get eaten by the sharks?
It's a valid pushback.
Yeah.
It really is. But let's distinguish between speed and hurry. Speed is a physical measurement, how fast you're moving. You can move very, very fast with great precision.
Okay.
Hurry is a psychological state.
Okay.
It's fear. It's that feeling that if I don't get there right now, the opportunity will be gone forever. It's frantic. It's panicked. Wattles argues that on the creative plane, you are not fighting for a slice of an existing pie. You are baking a new pie.
Okay, faking a new pie. Give me a concrete example of that.
Well, look at the smartphone market before, say, 2007. BlackBerry and Nokia were competing for a fixed pie of business phones. They were fighting over who had the better keyboard. That's the competitive plane. They were trying to steal market share from each other.
Right.
Then Apple comes along. Steve Jobs didn't try to build a better BlackBerry. He didn't look at what Nokia was doing and try to undercut them on price. He created an entirely new category, the pocket computer. He expanded the entire market. He created value that just didn't exist before.
So BlackBerry was fighting for scraps, and Apple was on the creative plane.
In that specific instance, yes. When you create, you become unique. And when you're unique, you don't have any true competitors. You're the only source of that specific value. You enter what modern business strategists now call a blue ocean.
Wattles quotes Golden Rule Jones of Toledo. I actually looked him up. Samuel M. Jones, a progressive mayor and businessman in the late 1800s. And his maxim was, what I want for myself, I want for everybody.
That is the mantra of the creative plane. What I want for myself, I want for everybody. It completely neutralizes envy. And that is so crucial because envy is the signal that you've slipped back into competition.
That is hard to do, though. I mean, if I see someone on LinkedIn who's younger than me, making twice as much money, that envy it's visceral. It's almost a physical pain. It's that feeling of, I'm falling behind.
It is. That's an evolutionary trigger. We're primates. We care about hierarchy because for millions of years, hierarchy determined who ate and who didn't. But Wattles says that envy is the anchor that drags you right back to the competitive plane. If you envy them, you're acknowledging that their success takes something away from you. You're validating scarcity. You're telling your brain, there's only so much success to go around, and they took my share.
So how do we break that loop? I mean, if the competitive mind is our default setting, our dandelion state where we just react to everything with fear, how do we actually switch over to the creative mind?
This brings us to the fuel, the mechanics of gratitude.
Okay, sell me on gratitude, because honestly, gratitude journaling has become such a cliche. It feels like something you just do to be polite or nice. It feels soft, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at the pretty flowers while your house is burning down.
I agree. It has been so watered down. But Wattles isn't talking about being polite. He's talking about tuning a receiver. He says the whole process of mental adjustment and attunement can be summed up in one word: gratitude.
Attunement, that's a mechanical word, like tuning a radio frequency.
Exactly. Think of your brain as a pattern recognition machine. We have something called the reticular activating system, or RAS, at the base of the brainstem. And it filters the millions of bits of data coming in and only lets through what it thinks is important to you.
So if I buy a red car, suddenly I start seeing red cars everywhere.
Correct. You told your RAS, red cars are important, so it highlights them for you. Now, apply that same logic to your life. If you are dissatisfied, cynical, or envious, you're programming your RAS to look for lack. You're scanning the environment for what's wrong, what's missing, and who's to blame. That's the competitive signal.
And because the brain is really good at its job, I will always find evidence that things are bad.
You will always find it. You'll find the rude email, you'll find the slight, you'll find the recession statistics. Wattles says dissatisfaction cuts the wire between you and the source of power. It's a mechanical statement. If you're dissatisfied, you sever the connection to the creative plane because you're focused on the negative. You stop seeing opportunities.
So gratitude is the hack. It's the code we punch in to tell the RAS to look for opportunity instead.
Yes. By expressing gratitude, and not just, I'm glad I have coffee. But deep, focused gratitude for the resources you already have, you're anchoring your mind in abundance. You're telling your brain, growth is happening, resources are available, good things are coming, and your brain will start to spot opportunities you would have otherwise completely missed. It's cognitive anchoring.
It connects to that Stoic concept of amor fati, loving your fate, not just tolerating it, but actually embracing it.
It does. The Stoics used it to endure hardship. Wattles uses it to generate momentum. But the mechanism is the same. Acceptance and appreciation of the now is the only stable foundation for building the future. You cannot build a positive future on a foundation of resentment for the present.
Okay, so gratitude keeps us from drifting, but we also need a destination, right? We can't just be grateful for sitting still. We need the vision.
The blueprint. And Wattles is very specific here. He warns against vague desires. He says most people just have a general wish to live better or travel more. That's not enough.
Why isn't it enough?
Because you can't build a house with a vague desire for shelter. You need to know where the windows go. You need to know the square footage. Wattles says you must have a definite mental image. You need to play with this vision in your leisure time. You need to inhabit it.
He talks about being the possessor of the vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
In your imagination, you must essentially role play that you already have it. Not to delude yourself, but to familiarize your nervous system with that reality. It reduces the cognitive gap between me and that success. Athletes do this all the time. Visualization. They visualize the perfect shot 1,000 times before they ever take it. Wattles is saying, do that for your life.
Okay, so we have the map, which is the creative plane. We have the fuel, gratitude, and a specific vision. Now we arrive at the part that I think is the most difficult, the engine, the action.
This is where the rubber meets the road. And this is where Wattles separates himself from the whole magic crowd. He says, and I'm paraphrasing here, you can't just rely on thought alone. We haven't reached the stage of development where a person can create directly from formless substance without using nature's processes or the work of human hands.
So basically, you are not a wizard. You have to do the work.
But not just any work. This is the crucial concept, efficient action. Wattles gives a rule for this. Do every day all that can be done that day.
Okay, I have to stop you right there. Do all that can be done that day. That sounds like a recipe for burnout. That sounds like hustle culture on steroids. If I tried to do everything I could possibly do in a day, I'd be dead by Thursday.
And that's how it's so often misread. But you have to read the very next sentence. He adds a huge caveat. You are not to overwork. You are not to try to do tomorrow's work today, nor to do a week's work in a day.
So if I'm not supposed to do a week's work in a day, what does all that can be done actually mean?
It means that success is not about the quantity of things you do. It is about the efficiency of each separate action. He says, every inefficient act is a failure. Every efficient act is a success.
Let's break that down. What does an inefficient act look like? Give me a mundane example.
Okay, let's say you have to write an email to a difficult client. An inefficient version of that act looks like this. You open the tab, you sigh, you worry that the client is going to be angry, you check your phone to distract yourself for a minute, you type a sentence, then you delete it. You feel resentful that you even have to do this. You finally hit send, but the energy behind it is weak and fearful and scattered.
That sounds like most of my inbox, honestly.
That is an inefficient act.
Yeah.
It is a failure. And Wattles says that if your day is filled with these inefficient acts, you are accumulating failure. You're building a wall with crumbling bricks. It doesn't matter how many bricks you lay if they're all crumbling.
And an efficient act.
It's the same email, but before you write it, you pause. You recall your vision. You remember why this client matters to that vision. You access gratitude. I'm grateful I have clients to write to. This is part of my expansion. Then you write the email with your total focus, conveying value, and you hit send with the faith and purpose that it will yield a positive result.
It's the exact same physical action typing on a keyboard, but the internal quality is completely different.
Yes, it is border collie intensity applied to one simple task. Wattles argues that if every act is a success in itself, then the sum of your life must be a success. It's almost mathematical. You cannot fail if your days are filled with successful acts.
This reminds me so much of the atomic habits philosophy. James Clear talks about that 1% improvement. It's not about the massive gesture. It's about the cumulative effect of small things done well.
It's exactly the same principle.
Yeah.
The certain way is just a chain of small, efficient actions.
Yeah.
You don't have to move a mountain. You just have to move one stone perfectly.
But how do we apply this in a job we hate? That's a common question, right? I want to be a writer, but I'm working in a warehouse. Or I want to start a business, but I'm stuck in middle management. How do I act efficiently there without just feeling like a cog in a machine?
This is where Wattles introduces the concept of use value versus cash value.
Mm.
This is his whole business ethics model.
Give every man more in use value than you take from him in cash value.
Right. So let's take that warehouse job. If you just phone it in, doing the bare minimum, acting resentful, you are being small in your place. You are shrinking. You're telling the universe, I'm not even big enough for this box.
Mm.
But if you treat that warehouse job as a training ground, if you organize your section better than anyone else has, if you help your coworkers, if you radiate what he calls increase, you become too big for that place.
Too big for your place. I like that image. It's like a plant outgrowing a pot.
It's exactly. Reality and the market has a way of moving people who have outgrown their container. If you are delivering more use value than you're being paid for in cash value, you are creating a surplus. And that surplus must come back to you. It's like the physics of the creative plane. You become what he calls an advanced man or advanced woman.
So practically, if I sell a book for $20, that's the cash value. But the ideas in the book might save someone's marriage or help them start a business. That's the use value.
And that use value could be worth thousands. If you consistently deliver that kind of leverage to the world, you become a magnet. People want to be around you because they feel increase in your presence. Everyone wants more life. If you're a source of more life, you will thrive.
I want to pivot now to the really practical application. We promised the listener a loop, because understanding this stuff is one thing, but doing it when the kids are screaming and the Wi-Fi is down, that's another thing entirely.
Why?
We need to stop the drift.
We need a protocol, a certain way daily loop.
Let's build it. Step 1.
Step 1, morning alignment. This happens before you look at your phone. Definitely before you check the news. You have to reset the compass. You visualize the blueprint, the specific life you are building, not just I want money, but I am building X. And you activate gratitude to open the channel. Find 3 things you are genuinely grateful for. This primes your reticular activating system to see opportunity, not threat.
Okay. I'm aligned. I go to work. Then the drift starts. Someone yells at me. I feel that panic rising.
And that's why we need step 2, the check-in. This is a trigger we can borrow from Peter Gollwitzer's research on implementation intentions. We need an if-then script.
Okay, give me the script.
The signal is, hurry. If you feel that tightness in your chest or that frantic need to rush, that is your red alert. You have slipped into the competitive mind. You're acting out of fear.
So the script is, if I feel the urge to hurry,
Then I will pause, take a deep breath, and remind myself, there is no hurry on the creative plane. There is enough.
I like that. It's a pattern interrupt. It stops that whole flywheel of anxiety.
And then, step 3, efficient action. You look at the task in front of you, just the one brick, and you ask, how can I do this with my total focus and faith? You do today's work today. You don't worry about next week's crisis. You just lay that one brick perfectly.
And if you do that, brick by brick, the wall gets built.
The wall gets built, the thinking stuff responds to your blueprint, and the action receives what the thought created.
So let's zoom out. What does all this mean for us, really? We've moved from the dandelion fluff to the border collie. We've moved from a world of scarcity to a world of creation.
We've stopped trying to force the world to give us things, which is competition, and we've started creating things that the world values, which is creation. We've stopped trying to manipulate people and started trying to serve them with use value.
There's one final thought from Wattles that I think is really important to land on. It's about why we should do this. Because some people might still feel like getting rich is a selfish goal. Like, shouldn't we just be content with what we have?
Wattles attacks that idea head on. He argues that you have a duty to get rich.
A duty? That's heavy.
He says that you cannot fully express your talents, you cannot fully develop your soul, and you cannot fully help other people if you are resource constrained. You need books to read, travel to experience, tools to build with. He says growth is the only evidence of life.
So playing small isn't humility, it's actually stagnation.
It's holding back the universe's expression through you. By expanding yourself, you expand the universe. Your poverty serves no one. Your expansion serves everyone, provided, of course, that you stay on the creative plane and bring others up with you.
Your expansion serves everyone. That's the takeaway.
It really is.
So stop drifting. Start designing. Check your map. Are you creating or competing? Check your fuel. Are you grateful or grumbling? And check your engine. Are you acting efficiently?
Do today's work today.
This has been our look at the science of getting rich. If this resonated with you, if you caught yourself rushing today, just pause, reset, return to the creative plane. And hey, this was the summary. Next up, we're going into episode 12. You can find the full series in the playlist.
And remember, thought brings it, action receives it.